and welcome to another Teacher Talk session. Tonight we are going to have our 91st session. Yes, it's so excited. We are coming to do 100 sessions. Okay, week by week. All right, so tonight we are going to have another very important educator from different parts of the world. And tonight we are going to have a freelance, a Delta qualified teacher and also certified teacher trainer and also author of the TFL zone, Rachel Tsateri. When she comes, we are going to talk about lots of things with her, and I'm sure that it's going to be a very fruitful session with her tonight. And I hope you're not gonna miss this session, but even if you miss it, you can watch it later. So because it's recorded session. So let me invite Rachel to the session so we can talk about and we can start our live session with her. Yes, I have invited Rachel. I'm waiting for her to accept it. Yeah, there she is.
Am I in? Oh, I made
Yes,
it.
you are in. Hello, Rachel.
Hi,
It's
Volkan.
wonderful to see you here. It's great to see you.
You too. Thank you so much for
Oh,
inviting me. And hi, everyone
yeah.
who's watching.
Okay. Okay. Before starting our live sessions, Rachel, I would like to say thank you to accept my invitation and become my guest for 91st session of Teacher Talks.
How could I
Yes,
say
it's really
no?
it's wonderful and it's lovely to see you here in this session. And I'm sure
Thank
that
you.
it's going to be a very fruitful and very fun and very interesting session with you tonight. Okay, and I know that we are all busy, just like everybody. And so if you are ready, we can start.
Let's get down to business.
All
Yeah.
right, let's get down to business. Okay, so I know about you, Rachel, but maybe our listeners would like to know about you. So can you tell us about yourself, please, and a bit about your experiences too?
Sure thing. So I
Yeah, sure, you're here.
Okay, perfect. So I started teaching in 2014 when I finished my CELTA. And since then, I've taught in quite a few places like Malta, Croatia, Spain, Germany,
Wow.
Greece, the UK. Yeah, because of my husband's job, we've been moving a lot. And I completed my Delta and the trainer with Simon Phipps and Metin Essen,
Wow,
your
oh,
friends.
wonderful.
It was a great experience. Yeah. I started a blog, the TEFL Zone, and now I'm based in Germany where I teach online. I teach some private students from Spain and some students based in Germany. And I recently also started training teachers on TEFL and TESOL courses online, which is great, which was something I was really looking forward to.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm also a social media assistant for Promsig, and I a TEFL and TESOL Greece member and a joint blogger for ELTAS, which is like a local association for teachers here in the
Uh-huh.
area of Stuttgart.
Wow, it's wonderful, wonderful.
I'm keeping
Thank you,
busy.
Rachel. Yes, it's very busy. Okay, so what was your when you think about your own education? What was your or were your turning point or points in your own education?
I think that when I was learning English, actually, at some point I was a teenager, I was 13 or so, and I had to take it was the first certificate, the B2. And I also had to take a preparation course, which was really expensive, and my family couldn't afford it then. We were a family of
Uh-huh.
six. You can imagine it was difficult. So we asked the director what we can do instead. What can Rachel do to prepare for the exam if she cannot take that course? And she told us, I can give you the titles. You can buy the book, the teacher's book, but we cannot guarantee, that would be enough. And I did all that. I was 13. It was summer in Athens, everyone going to the beach. I was so disciplined, so dedicated. I tried my best. I studied. I did all the
Wow.
activities. Yeah, played the tape. We didn't have CDs then, just a cassette. I did some writing. My sisters helped me. They were older and more proficient, so they kind of checked my essays. And not only did I pass, I got a distinction. So, I really
Wow.
felt really confident after that. It really made me feel that I can do everything I want, especially, be independent as a learner, if I try my best and believe in myself. And I also realized that, I'm going to do something with English. It's going to be something that will really change my life somehow. So I guess that was a turning point. Yeah.
I see. The hard times, by the way, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's really impressive. Yeah, we have a really
Thank
nice
you.
comment here from Grim Damos. That's really
Hi,
impressive.
Daniel. Thank you for coming.
Definitely impressive. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing that points with us. So when you think about all the teaching experiences, probably you have a philosophy. And so what is your philosophy of teaching?
I keep changing them, because learning is unlearning all the time,
Exactly.
right? Being
Uh-huh.
curious. But I think that something that is evergreen, something that is always, yeah, my teaching philosophy is that classes need to be something that learners look forward to, right? So I don't mean that we should entertain them, like we should be entertainers and make them laugh all the time and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
in our way, like motivating them by scaffolding our classes, gradually removing assistance, not giving them like super challenging, super difficult things to do, keep it relevant with interesting topics that they like, paying attention to what they want and what they need. And also kind of something that I learned from my wonderful tutor, Emma, who's now with Dublin TEFL. She used to be by Barcelona, which doesn't exist
Wow.
anymore. Yeah. Is always make space for emergent language, that the learning that will come up. You have predetermined, you have some goals in your head, but always also work with what students bring in the classroom and try to make space for both this predetermined and the emergent learning. Sort of like I think
Mm-hmm.
Luis Otavio Barros called it a dual syllabus, right?
Those.
The a posteriori,
Uh,
the a priori, a posteriori, something like that. So
uh-huh.
I
I
think
see.
that it's important. They want to have their time to also express meanings, to tell you what they want to tell you, and you help them with that, not just the lesson aims that you've already lesson plan, tick box, tick box.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I see. All right. Thank you. Thank you for very much, Rachel. And so let's move to another question. Would you like to add anything else, or can I move?
Go ahead. Yeah, I think
Oh, okay
that's yeah.
then. And so we are already in the second month of the 2022, and as we know that we had enough, I think, so far from the other years. So, but what are your expectations from 2022?
I don't want to get COVID again.
Yeah, I got twice.
Oh no. Yeah, I just got it once, but it really knocked me out for about, I don't know, 3.5 weeks or so. So
Wow.
that's my challenge. I'm also answering another question.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to present for the first time two conferences. I at TEFL, where I won a scholarship, and I will be presenting a lesson plan and giving a talk. And I'm a little nervous, but also excited. And one more, which is in about 3 weeks, Teasel, Greece. And I want to do well, but because it's my first time, I'm a little stressed. I guess I just want these presentations to go well and people to walk out of the room or the Zoom room and feel like they've learned something, or at least they found them interesting. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm sure that's going to be wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's hope
All
so.
right. And Rachel, I know, as far as I know, you have a blog. I think you were keeping writing or something about it. So, what is your blog about? And also, what can we find on the TFL zone?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Well, I started my blog first of all 2 or 3 years ago, but I've yeah mostly been active during the pandemic, I guess, because everyone just wanted to share, and I did my best as well to whatever came to my mind, any activities that I saw worked well online, just immediately put them there. You can find lesson plans on my blog. First, I started with activities. Then I started creating lesson plans and teachers' notes as well.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm trying to develop and improve all the time. And I also sometimes research some areas, some topics, so I have my questions, for example, about lexical chunks, a very recent post. So I did some reading and I tried to find some answers, maybe create some templates or materials that teachers could use. It's a learning space for me. And I also write some reflections on teaching and training, and sometimes open up some conversations with my readers, because they comment, they have other ideas. It's really nice. I'm really proud of my blog, and honestly, I'm glad I didn't let that, imposter syndrome ruin it for me, because we all kind of think we're afraid of this negative evaluation, judgment. People will say, "Who is this person, and what do they have to say that is so important?" Right?
You're
And
right. You're
it
right.
held me back for some time, but then I decided I'm just gonna do it, and it's fine, and I'm glad
It's
I did it.
wonderful. It's wonderful, Rachel, and I'm sure, and you should proud about your blog. And by the way, I
Thank
think the
you.
the the, the greatest part is, and when you get the comments from the others about your writings or the things that you share over there, and if they like it, and if they make some comments over there, you become more, I think it motivates you to do it more. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if you reach one or two people, you feel like you've done something great. So if you get good feedback, it helps you, to keep writing, keep improving and sharing. Absolutely.
Exactly, exactly. So keep up good works.
Thank
All
you.
right then. And as far as I know, you have kind of, the interest and lots of experience about the pronunciation. Am I right?
More interest than knowledge, though.
Yeah, more interest. Okay, than knowledge. I
Exactly.
see. Okay.
Exactly.
So
No,
my
I'm no
next
expert.
questions, okay, my
Hmm.
couple questions is related with the pronunciation. So
Hmm.
I really wonder what are you going to say about it. How important is pronunciation in language learning?
It is important because, for example, in the 15th century, people were learning Latin and Greek and languages to, read literature or to study these dead languages. But now
Uh-huh.
we're learning not dead, but pretty much alive languages, right? We
Yeah.
want to communicate, we want to speak, we want to use the language. So I think it's really important because if we cannot pronounce that language, the words, the phrases, the sentences, well,
Mm-hmm.
we will not be understood. And we're not talking about native-like accents
I
anymore,
see.
right? Drilling until you get the
Mm-hmm.
British model. We're talking about it's important to become understood rather than sounding like a native speaker, because some of your interactions will be as well with other non-natives, right? The
Exactly.
most part,
Uh-huh.
I guess. So yeah, it's important, and it's important to be intelligible and understood.
I see. I understand. And there are some people. I read it somewhere, but I just want to ask you these questions. They say that is reading aloud help students pronunciation. Do you agree or not? And or why not?
As with every question, I always say it depends on the learner, right? And there is actually a really nice article written on the Pronsig blog about reading aloud by one of the committee members, Ivana, which is really worth reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, first of all, if you ask your students to read aloud and you give them a text they've never read, never encountered, have no idea what the language in
Uh-huh.
there is and how to pronounce, and then you ask them to read it aloud in front of everyone, of course, that's a huge mistake. They will make mistakes. They will be embarrassed.
Probably. Uh-huh.
It's not helping them. But if you use that activity in different ways, for example, what I did was after we had read and reread a text with my young learners and focused on words, pronunciation, did some drilling, then I asked them to read to me and to the rest of the class their favorite part. That could be two sentences or a paragraph, and
Uh-huh.
even be as dramatic as they want, highlight the words they like, tell us why they like this passage. And it worked really well. I gave them preparation time as well, I didn't just tell them start reading in front of everyone. And they seem to like it and learn. And little by little they improved their pronunciation when we did that activity. And I also do that as a learner because I've learned about 4 or 5 foreign languages. I
Uh-huh.
don't even remember. I like to read aloud. I like to
Nice.
read aloud. It's a way, it helps me, I read a text, I reread it, and when I'm at home, I read it aloud. And I tell my students, do the same. Sometimes record yourself, maybe play
That's
back,
mm-hmm.
listen back, see maybe where you can improve or what can or cannot be understood if you give it to someone else to listen, perhaps your teacher or another person. So, yeah, it depends on how you use it. Do you agree?
Yeah, sure, sure. And especially the idea that you give this tell the student to record your voice and then listen it. Or maybe you can sometimes there are passages or books that you can listen it first, and after that
Absolutely.
you can record your voice, and then you can
Fantastic idea.
compare it and the original one and your record. So then how your pronunciation improve or what
Brilliant.
are
I should
differences?
interview you. I'm going to interview you. You have
No,
better
I'm not an
answers.
expert about just a couple ideas. Well, why not? Yeah, why not?
Fantastic. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you very much. And so actually my next question is related again with the pronunciation, but how can students improve their pronunciation? So actually we have already given one example about recording their voices and listening to them. So that's one of
That's one.
the
Okay.
way.
Let's come up with some more. So first of all, in class, pay attention to the teacher, use the teacher. You know, we are there for students.
Exactly.
Listen to the model, pay attention to any pronunciation features that they are writing on the whiteboard, you know, because when we introduce words or chunks, we also need to record those features on the whiteboard.
Uh-huh.
Try to experiment in class. Don't be shy, you know, because it's a difficult skill. This physicality makes it a bit embarrassing. Don't be shy. Experiment in class. And then I think that when we're talking about the teacher, what the teacher can do is bottom up, what we call bottom up activities, starting from smaller units, doing listening and helping learners perceive sounds, focusing explicitly, not just telling them, go home and listen, you know, to 10 songs and watch 10 films, but doing that activity in the classroom, isolating sentences, doing dictations, and giving them some activities that will be useful, like maybe count the words that you hear
Uh-huh.
or transcribe what you hear, or and if there is a problem because of some, you know, blending or sounds crushing, they have to find the reason. Why can't you understand that part? And then explore, you know, maybe features of connected speech. So the students should pay attention to the teacher, what they do, and the teacher should use activities to help the students improve their pronunciation. I think that's what I
Yeah,
do.
so wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you. And so again, my next question is related again with the pronunciation. So there are some difficulties when we think about the student side. So what are the most common pronunciation issues that the language learners encounter for you?
Which learners? So
Okay,
that's a
young.
great
Okay.
question. So
Yeah,
first of
who
all,
would?
exactly. There's a fantastic book called Learner English, written by Swan and Smith, and it specifically focuses on the interference and problems that students from different backgrounds have. For example, Greek students, right? I'm Greek. I've taught some Greek students, not many though. What they have in common with Italian and Spanish students, though, is that our language is syllable syllable timed. I think when it's also Friday night, I'm forgetting my terms. So we kind of stress every syllable, right?
Uh-huh.
So if I say in Greek, let's go for some coffee, I would say πάμε για καφέ αύριο το πρωί. So, you know, every syllable is kind of stressed, whereas in English there is this wave pattern, this rhythm that is weak, weak, strong, weak, weak, strong. And they find it hard sometimes to understand what they hear in English. There are different consonant sounds as well, different vowel quality. We don't have sh, je in Greek or sh, ch. So you will hear Greek students saying, my teacher of English, for example. And this problem is not a problem that they cannot fix, but a problem that they don't want to fix. I think sometimes it's a matter of attitude, right? Learning can be uncomfortable and we don't want to sound alien. So sometimes we can produce the sound, but we don't want to because, you know, we feel strange. So the teacher's job is really difficult. We know not only do we have to help the student with the sound, but also with the attitude, you know, and motivate them to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And also, yeah, that these are the common problems. It's similar, I think, more like most of the language. For example, in Turkish, we don't have a th sound and the sound. That's really
So they must
hard.
find it really challenging, right?
Yeah, of course, for them, the challenging. We try to pronounce a think. I think they think or thank. They say
I see.
thank you. You say thank you. That's another one. Is but they say thank you, but no,
It
it's
sounds
like
like
th. Yeah, exactly. There are
Yeah.
similar points that they face. But they have to practice it, they have to listen it, they have to try to make it better. Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
and they have to want to try. They have to want to try too.
Yeah, definitely. We still we try some. If sometimes even we make some mistakes while pronouncing the words, something like that. What do? We go, we listen, we try
We
and
try
repeat
again and again,
again and again.
absolutely.
Exactly. All right. So, and when it's come to the teaching pronunciation, for example, there are some steps to do it. I think what steps should be followed to teach pronunciation? Not in details, but maybe just like brief information if you can.
I think that first of all, some things that I had been neglecting teaching pronunciation a lot in my first couple of years. Very simply, first start with marking word stress. When you're teaching a new word, just as simple as drawing a circle on the stressed syllable or underlining, or capitalizing the stressed syllable can be really helpful because students may listen to you, hear you, but then forget which syllable is stressed. Is it vegetable? Is it vegetable?
I
The
see.
eternal problem.
Exactly.
So also encourage them to write down these things because when they go home, they might forget, and that this way they will have a record of the language. Then slowly move into sentence stress as well, because as we mentioned, that rhythm is the difficult thing in English. So also
Exactly.
highlight with the same circles maybe or underlining the stressed syllables in a sentence. When we are saying, I'm going to go to London tomorrow, we don't stress all the syllables, right? This way we are
Exactly.
highlighting also on the whiteboard. Repeating is important and drilling, so getting students to listen to the model enough. But I've been reading a lot recently, and I've also written a post on this. I read a book and a paper by Eduardo Discio, and I agree that it's not enough. It's not enough to just rely on the auditory, just telling students, and they listen and they immediately understand and can produce the sound. So we need to use also different processes, like helping them understand the physicality, the movement, sometimes without producing it, just touching, you want to produce v, you just tell them to their upper teeth touch the lower lip and just do that movement without making any sound. Just follow some steps like that. First, the physical movement. Listen enough times, so that you're able to understand the sound and also discriminate it from others, like the Spanish with b and v, for example, and not rush them to produce. Make sure they have enough, exposure and examples first. You
I
repeat
see.
not just once. I used to repeat once, to just model once and tell them now after me. But now sometimes I repeat more times, or I tell them to just repeat it, in their head silently without actually saying out loud. And they can say it when they're ready. But still, I don't use just drills for pronunciation, to be honest. Especially when we're doing focus on connected speech, for example. I think awareness raising is more important. When you ask your students,
I see.
to predict maybe how this sentence would be produced in fast speech. Can you predict any changes that would happen, And then they can listen and they can check and they can discover it without you telling them and modeling all the time.
I
So,
see.
yeah.
I understand. Okay,
If
thank
I'm
you.
rambling, just stop me because
No, no,
I
no,
think
no,
I'm
no, no.
talking
It's
too
so far
much.
so good. No problem. It's wonderful to listen to you, Rachel. No
Thank
problem.
you, Volkan.
Okay, no problem. It's okay. Thank you very much. So another the question is about again pronunciation. What makes pronunciation different from teaching other parts of the English language, like for example grammar
I
or
think
other
it's
things?
something, yeah, I think it's something difficult for both students and teachers. I mean, I'm a non-native teacher, but I've met also native English teachers uh, who felt uncomfortable teaching pronunciation. They said, I feel it's kind of artificial, when I'm repeating and repeating. I'm not saying the word like I would normally say it.
Uh-huh.
And for most of us at first, it's when we don't really know enough about it and we feel like we're not able to teach it correctly. I certainly wasn't, I didn't know all these things that I learned after Delta, so before Delta I was clueless. I was really unable to help my learners with pronunciation. So And for students, I guess it's that physicality that we mentioned before, that they have to combine all this knowledge they have, the lexis, the grammar, the speaking skills, and they have to, use their articulators, their mouths, probably in a different way than, how they use them in their own language. I think Mark Hancock wrote, they have to retrain their muscles,
I see.
sometimes, especially for a Greek, for example, learning Japanese. Huge difference. Maybe not for a
Definitely.
German learning Swedish or English, these are more, let's say, I think, similar. But
Uh-huh.
when there is a large difference between the two languages, it can be uncomfortable, it can be embarrassing, it can be hard.
I
Yeah.
understand. I see. I understand. Thank you. I think that's all about the pronunciation. Huh? We all
Okay.
talk about it. Enough pronunciation. Let's
All
move to
right.
other questions about it. So, which is really interesting. I know that you have some studied or something like that about L1. So, what do you think? This is also really some people still discuss about it using L1 in the language classroom. So, what do you think about using L1 in class?
I remember that was a year ago. I think that we had a nice British Council live, Facebook live with Riccardo Cappini and Emma Midflint, my tutor, and Girish Mulani, a friend and colleague, and we talked about translation and the mother tongue in the
Uh-huh.
classroom. Well, pretty much everyone who starts CELTA right now, they are taught that the communicative approach doesn't really, it condemns first language in the classroom. We don't use as one. We need our students to be problem solvers, to communicate, to think in English. This is my favorite, to think in English. But I watched a webinar recently by Philip Kerr, and he said this something about thinking. He said that you cannot think in another language, unless you have a C1 or higher. So this doesn't make
Exactly.
sense when you're teaching young learners or lower levels, right? And he also said, so this means that you don't want your students to think at all. You want them to automatically speak English, not just to not translate, not think, just start speaking English. Yeah, it's not. I don't think that it's reasonable to ban the L1. And as Hugh
I see.
Deller, I think, said that if we know our students' first language, their mother tongue, we have a superpower. Why not use it? Sometimes we can check understanding really quickly. How do you say that in Spanish? So the student tells you, say, no, that's not it. Or reverse translation was a really useful activity to focus on form and
Mm-hmm.
grammar, and it can be really short. Also, I've seen that demonstrated by Philip Kerr. And he also says you can have like own language moments. They don't have to be, an entire slot or
Uh-huh.
10 minutes. They can be short, for example, 1 or 2 minute slots that you can give your students before a fluency activity. Maybe they can quickly brainstorm some words and then translate them
Mm-hmm.
to English, or they could they can think about how they would feel if they were in that situation, activate, some emotions in their language first, and then be able to talk about them. I think that these are really good tips. I'm not
I
an
see.
expert, but yeah, I've used them and they've been quite successful. Students responded well to them, so why not?
Why not? You are right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rachel, about the ideas that you share with us. Okay. So let's move to another question. And I know also that you are also some kind of interest with the young learners. Am I right? You teaching young learners
I've taught young
somehow.
learners and very young learners starting, yeah, 2 years old. Yeah,
Wonderful. What are the challenges of teaching young learners for you?
many.
Many.
Well, it's been a long time, well, not a long time. Well, it's been about 3 years since I last taught young learners, but high levels of energy is the first that comes to mind. Everything has to be turned into a game. Every little thing. You have to create a lot of materials, props, find realia, bring fruit, bring all the. It was fun and I loved it. And when I was, teaching young learners, I felt like a kid myself and I really loved that part of
Exactly.
my job. But I couldn't imagine, having to teach just young learners 5 classes a day, 5 days a week. I think it would get me, yeah, I would be really exhausted at the end of the week. Classroom
You
management can be really
wow.
tough, you know. They can just gang up
I
on you and you have nowhere to
I
go.
can imagine. I can imagine. So unexpected things can happen in the middle of the lessons. So that's really
All the
hard.
time. Some stories that I cannot even tell.
Yeah, I can. But there are some questions about the stories I have in my mind. I'll ask them to you. Don't worry about it. So maybe you can find something to tell us, which is funny. All right, thank you. Okay, so this question is really nice. I really wonder if you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be and how would it help?
That's really easy. That's the easiest question because all of them are really difficult.
Nice.
That's easy. So, Volkan, I would like to be able to read their minds because there are a lot of students. I was like that. Very shy, introverted. They won't ask you questions. They won't
Uh-huh.
give you that feedback that you need, you know, to understand if you're helping them or not. And that goes for training as well. I recently started working as a trainer. I was just a volunteer for Refugee Ed, and now I started working a week ago. I'm sure that there are things that I haven't explained well that my trainees may not have understood, but maybe they won't tell me. Cultural reasons, maybe they feel like they would offend the trainer, or maybe they're embarrassed of, you know, sounding like they don't understand. For whatever reason, we need that feedback, and if we're not getting it, we should be able to read their minds and
Hmm.
get that unspoken feedback so we can understand if we're actually helping them or not. What do you think?
I see.
Yeah.
I can also say that, yeah, it can be really nice. I'll listen lots of superpowers here from different, from 1991. The 91 guests, they all said they are superpowers. They are very
You've heard it
interesting
all.
superpowers. And I wish I had them all because they are really nice.
Who
But
doesn't?
reading,
Who doesn't?
yeah, but the reading minds, that can be really fantastic
Yeah, I don't
to
want to read
know.
everything in their mind. I just
No, no,
want
no.
that feedback, you know, if the
Oh,
lesson is
okay,
okay, if they feel happy with the exercise, you know, if they're learning, if there's something they don't like, that kind of
exactly.
feedback.
Okay, something. Okay, let's change it like this. Reading their minds, which is related with the lesson, not the other
Exactly.
things.
Let's
Okay.
make it more specific.
Yeah, let's make it more specific, not generalize it. It's really fantastic to read them, to to know what do they know, to know what they want, or to know that what they are planning to say to you, but they can't. That's really interesting. That can be really interesting to know about it. And sometimes probably there are lots of things in their minds to tell you about, but they can't. But knowing it and doing what you want to do according to that their ideas, but of course we don't make them know that, oh, I can read your
That's the
minds.
catch.
But without make them realize that you read their minds, so that can be
Have to
fantastic.
keep it a secret. How can we do
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Wonderful one, really. Okay, thank you, Rachel. Nice, really. Okay, so let's move to another question. These questions are probably most of the time when your training sessions or something like that. Probably you always talk about and give to to the teachers your good experiences, not the good experiences you talk about it. But this time I'm gonna ask you the vice versa. Can you tell us about one of your bad teaching experiences in your career? What about the kindergarten stuff? We can listen.
No, no, no.
Okay, so which one you want?
So I have three words for you.
All right.
Death by PowerPoint.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm sure you can. So, first of all, when I did CELTA, I didn't know how to use PowerPoint, and I was terrified every time I saw, you know, my peers preparing those presentations, those cool presentations. But when I went to Tarifa, that was where I first started teaching in Spain. After the first couple of months, I thought that I should prepare some kind of, you know, pieces of paper with examples on them so that I could just put them on the whiteboard when I'm trying to make a point so that I'm fast. And then I discovered PowerPoint and how you can use, you know, the slides and all that. And honestly, I overdid it, and I bored them to death. I may have had, you know, lots of classes with just a PowerPoint on for 60 minutes and students going, teacher, can we play a game? Yeah, I felt really bad. I had to hear these words to, get that shock in order to understand that I'm slowly killing them. And then I did PowerPoint, and if I ever used it, it will be 1 or 2 slides, and that's it.
It's wonderful. It's a great. It's a nice
Oh
one.
man, yeah, that wasn't
Oh,
good.
okay. Would you like to say another experience, or can I move?
No, I know what you want to hear.
Oh,
I'm not gonna say
okay.
that.
All right then, Rachel. Thank you very much. Oh, this is really nice question. I'm sure
Okay.
what you are going to say about it. Thank you, by the way, sharing that moment. What does the term equal opportunities mean to you?
So I read a really nice metaphor
Uh-huh.
written by David Valente. It was the handbook of equality and diversity, I think, for the British Council. He said, imagine going to a cafe and ordering your favorite salad.
Mm,
And how do you want to have it? Blended in a food processor so that everything, is coming together and it's just one thing.
uh-huh.
Or, having separately the fresh lettuce, juicy tomatoes, crispy cucumbers, etc. And what he meant by that is that we're all different and we should be in an environment together, celebrate that difference, and
Mm-hmm.
not just trying to look like each other. We don't all have to be white people from England, from Britain to be accepted as teachers, for example. We can have different skin color, origin, gender, sexual preference, whatever. It doesn't mean we have to be discriminated against. I know a lot of people here know that I posted on LinkedIn about something I experienced with a German company where they rejected me in a brutal way by telling me that they really need teachers and my CV is really interesting, but they will not hire me because I'm a no native speaker, but I can teach Greek if I like because I'm
Uh-huh.
Greek, and that immediately makes me a good Greek teacher. I would never think of teaching Greek. I wouldn't know where to start, by the way. So equal opportunities means maybe thinking about a person's background, their professionalism when you're hiring them,
Mm-hmm.
whether they have credentials. But when we take a course, we spend money and we invest our money, our time, our passion. We make a lot of
Exactly.
effort. I think
Uh-huh.
this needs to be considered. You can tell if a teacher wants to develop and if they're serious about their job, about teaching, or ask for references if they're inexperienced, because we all have to start from somewhere, right? So we don't only
Exactly.
have to hire
Uh-huh.
experienced teachers, but if it's a newly qualified teacher, just fresh out of CELTA, maybe get some references from their tutors, and give them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
We've come a long way in ELT, but there's still a little bit of discrimination happening as far as I hear. I hope that in the next couple of years, this will be,
I hope so.
this will end.
I
Let's
see.
hope
I hope
so.
so. There is a question, Rachel, here for
Mm-hmm.
you. Lolo Alsham asks, do you mean that it is important to entertainment in teaching? Just now we talked about that one.
No, I don't. Well, with young learners, you don't have a choice. Everything has to be kind of turned into a game. How can you teach, for example, 2-year-olds when you're not even speaking their own language? I was teaching in Zagreb. I was teaching 2-year-olds and I didn't speak a word of Croatian.
Uh-huh.
Everything had to be about play, about listening to songs, dancing, moving, creating props, playing
Mm-hmm.
with the props and everything, experiencing the language. Then as they are a bit older, and they can also draw and they can match things and you can have fun with them. But I don't know. It's very hard to keep them entertained all the time. When they are starting to read and write, you have to do some activities as well. They have a workbook usually, and the
Uh-huh.
school expects you to use it. They tell you
Exactly.
spend the first half hour, for example, playing, teaching the language in a playful way, but then give them some 10, 20 minutes to also use the book because the parents also expect to see,
Definitely.
the activities completed. I don't think it's so easy, and I don't think it's fair for the teacher to be considered just an
Mm-hmm.
entertainer. We have to find a way to balance things. That's what's really hard about our job.
Definitely.
Playing, but learning and helping learning happen at the same time. drawing students' attention one way or another. But I don't know. What do you think about that? It's a
Yeah,
tricky question.
yeah, I totally agree. You know, the things that you say here, Rachel, it's really important, especially with the young, with the young kids that you mentioned. It they really, you know, you cannot keep them sit like for a half an hour or teach something just like you teach an adult, just like teach some or maybe teenager you can teach, but not a very young learners. You can't do that. They are expecting, I mean, like from you to 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 make fun for them, to create something fun in the
Physical
classroom.
involvement.
Exactly, physically,
That can be
definitely.
different from entertainment, right? You can
Uh-huh.
activate them like with
Exactly.
either tactile activities using the hand or
Uh-huh.
whole body moving activities. Run to the wall, touch you have a butterfly flashcard, you put them, all over the classroom. Run and touch the butterfly. This is
Yeah.
not so much entertaining, it's physical movement, is also identifying, and demonstrating that understanding. But I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that we should be, entertaining them all the time, for example, with
Yeah,
games.
of course,
It's
definitely.
really hard and difficult for us as well.
Definitely. The another point is it means that okay, you entertain them in the classroom, but
They like it,
it doesn't
yeah.
yeah, it doesn't also it should be related with the topic that we need to give it to them. That's the hard point. Sometimes you cannot find some, the funny things with to teach them or to use in the classroom to make, to have fun with them. But but you try something, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. And they always want to play and have fun anyway. And sometimes they
Exactly.
may, take it to another level and you have to.
Exactly. Okay then. Thank you very much. Let's move to another question, Rachel. So probably not talk about the 2022, but what about 2021? So what was the biggest challenge that you faced in 2021?
Being unemployed. I've been
Uh-huh.
unemployed since last May.
Wow. Uh-huh.
So, because I started my master's also in kind of April, I said, okay, I'm just going to use the summer. I also had to move from Spain to Germany. I said, I'm going to use the summer just to study, prepare for the move. But then it was September and October, and when I was here, I couldn't find work. I couldn't figure out the whole paperwork and tax law as well, because it's really hard here for anyone who doesn't speak the language. I don't speak German, by the way.
Uh-huh.
So it was really challenging, and I felt like I'm never going to work again, and I really
Wow.
like my work. I love working. I love my job. So, of
Exactly.
course, I used that time. I studied. I blogged about everything. I volunteered for Refugee Ed. It was really great teaching teachers there who work in the refugee context. But I needed to work. I just needed, to apply all the things that I'm studying. And finally, it happened last week. So that was
Nice.
last year's challenge. Too many months,
I
without
see.
working.
I see. I can imagine. Sure that it was really difficult. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So let's move another question, which is again
Okay.
related with the language teacher. So can you tell us five adjectives that describe an effective language teachers?
Wait, I've written them down because I will forget them.
Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
the first is prepared. See, because I'm
Okay.
prepared.
First one is prepared. Very nice.
This is very important, I think. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not shooting. I'm not
No.
prescribing, but I think
It's all of your ideas. Uh-huh.
yeah, have a plan. No, it doesn't have to be a lesson plan, just bullet points. Today I'm going to do this and that. Maybe I'm going to describe these words. Let me find the meaning in case I cannot come up with a definition on the spot. What activity or material am I going to use? Just some basic things. I say always
Exactly.
be prepared.
Okay. Number
So
one.
that's
Two.
one. Are you counting? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Don't worry about me. I'm right here to count.
So the second one is, I'm going to say the first couple of letters. You're going to guess. It's flex.
Flexible.
Yeah,
Is it?
that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, high five.
High five.
Flexible, exactly, because we have our plans, we have our ideas of what's going to happen, but things will come up, that will be different from what we planned, and we have to be able to adapt. And I think this also applies to training as well. Be flexible. We have our beliefs. Sometimes we give feedback to teachers and we're, so obsessed with what we think that we're not really listening to another perspective. So also be flexible in that way, like being open and listen to other people and their views, right? That's number 2.
Yeah, that's 3. Number
3, reflective.
Reflective, yes.
Christina also talked about it. I watched your teacher talk. It was lovely. I agree that it's important, to make that time after the lesson and stop to think, how did it go? Was there any problem? Was any activity super challenging? Were students comfortable? Do I feel like they've learned something? Maybe I should repeat something. I should recycle something. Simple questions. It doesn't have to be like a puzzle, but just simple things. Just sometimes intuitively we know. We use our intuition. We know, it didn't go well. Why? Let me think about why. Kind of replay it in our heads, maybe if possible. I think it helps us develop and improve.
Definitely.
Not that we should always improve. We can enjoy our confidence, our level of confidence.
Of course.
We don't have to be so guilty all the time. We have to reflect because we are bad teachers and we have to
no.
improve. But yeah, so that's 3.
Okay, let's come to the 4.
Okay.
Number 4.
That's curious.
That's important. Yeah.
I think you like that one. Curious.
Yeah, curious. Exactly.
There's so much to read, so much to learn. Teachers are learners as well, aren't we?
Definitely.
Books, blogs. It's always nice to get different perspectives, and even if you subscribe to one approach, you think you're a communicative teacher, just communicative approach, be curious, read about translation, read about drilling and how it can be done in a different way, read about different approaches. It might make you think that you can use different elements and be more eclectic in your teaching. Don't just take, what your friends, your colleagues or your tutors may tell you, this is what I do or what you should do. Be curious and experiment in class as well. Maybe you'll use something that you thought is not effective and maybe it turns out that it is. I have high energy, someone says. I'm so sorry, I'm going to tone
exactly.
it down.
No, yeah.
It's because of you. It's because of you, Wilka.
Come on.
We have some water. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. We need some water.
So, the last one is...
number 5.
Number 5, empathetic.
Empathetic, yes.
Empathetic. I think that there are good teachers perhaps who haven't ever had to learn a language, but most of us have had to learn a language and we know what it feels like. We know the struggles of learners and we have to remember that and we have to take it easy sometimes, not have all these high expectations. For example, sometimes they may not have a good mood, they might not be able to perform well. I remember observing a teacher once and I heard her say, come on guys, this is really easy. How come, you haven't finished yet? I felt really uncomfortable when I was there because if someone had told me that when I was a learner, I would have felt completely stupid, honestly. And I was never, the fastest student in the class. I was always kind of processing slowly and had this internal dialogue. I was quite shy. I wouldn't ask the teacher, So I think we should remember that students can have some emotions, They may not always be able to do things very well, or they might find something that we thought is super easy, they might find it hard.
I see.
So just remember that and be prepared. You can link that to the first.
Exactly.
Be prepared because maybe you will have to help them, support them somehow if they don't understand or.
I see. Okay, so let's count one more time. Be prepared, and then be flexible. And then reflective, and then what was the fourth? Curious.
Okay.
And the last one is empathic.
Empathetic, absolutely.
Empathetic. Exactly. Wonderful. Yeah.
I remember
job.
Simon Phipps. He told me about training. Observe empathetically.
Exactly.
And I will never forget these 2 words. They completely, changed my world. Observe empathetically and teach empathetically as well. So super important.
Yeah, by the way, I was with him on
I
last
know.
Saturday. Last Saturday,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah, last Saturday we were together in Izmir
oh,
here.
he's so wonderful. He's
Say
so
hi to
wonderful.
Simon from here
Yeah,
if
say
he
hi for
watched
me.
this one. All right then. Thank you. Okay, so I probably you have and you know some ideas about it. Like, can you give us some, or maybe one or two pronunciation practice websites, or maybe some apps that you can share with us?
Apps? No, I'm not using any apps really, but I think that for receptive pronunciation, listening, for example, Tube Quizzard and Youglish are really good. So if students want to test their knowledge, maybe add some words or lexical chunks and see how they're pronounced in fast speech. There is the option of also choosing different accents like US, UK, etc. They can just play and listen many times to see maybe what sound
Uh-huh.
changes may happen, or different adult or adult, some differences in different accent,
Yeah.
privacy. They can notice also this kind of thing. And you know what's really interesting? You can use your dictation tool, maybe your Word document dictation tool,
I see.
and just click on it, start dictating, it starts typing automatically. And if you're mispronouncing something, it'll show, so you will be able to
Yes.
see. That's an easy tip. Everyone has a computer nowadays, and I think that it helps if they do it at home. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's the Pronsig blog and YouTube channel that have so
Uh-huh.
many articles and webinars that I think are really helpful. Because I remember in one of those, it was Jane Setter in a webinar who said that about over 30% or something of teachers have no pronunciation training. So they feel
I see.
completely, that they don't have the tools. So there's a lot of CPD, a lot of articles and videos on that channel and blog if
Uh-huh.
anyone wants to check it out, free access as well.
I understand. All right. So someone says that, can you please write? Yeah. And after the session, I will ask the Rachel to send me the name of the sites that she mentioned here.
I'd
So
be
I
happy
will
to.
share it. I will share it on my page after the session. Don't worry about it. Okay. So let's move to another question. This question is really interesting, and I'm sure that I wonder what are you going to say about it. When you think about the five W's and how, like who, what, when, why, and which. What questions come to your mind about ELT world?
So what was the first? So yeah, who are your learners? I think
Uh-huh.
this is the most important, because we have beliefs, we have ideas, but the first thing we need to consider is who are we going to teach,
I
right?
see.
What we cannot have the same. It can be teenagers and adults. It can be business English students. It can be EAP. We have to know who we're teaching in order to make decisions. And then what are we going to teach them, and what do they know already, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
have to
Mm-hmm.
understand and not repeat things, and
I see.
select what they need to know and what
Mm-hmm.
they need to do with the language in real
I see.
life. Where will you go for help and materials?
I see. Mm-hmm.
Will you use a course book? Will you, I don't know, ask people in a Facebook group, a community of practice, like how do you teach the present perfect continuous? Um, what do you do? Will you create your own materials? Will you consult a grammar book if you have any doubts? Usually, before we teach a grammar point, it's good to have a look, and see if there's something that we might not
Uh-huh.
remember, something that might be
I
useful
see.
to teach. Then how do you plan to teach what it is you're going to teach? What
I
is your
see.
approach?
Uh-huh.
What is your approach? How and why is this your approach? This kind of
I
makes you
see.
think about why you have made these choices.
Uh-huh. I understand.
Is it because that's why you just want to do it? Is it because you've tried it and it works? Is it because you're too bored to think of another approach? So why is important, and it
I
helps us
understand.
understand our beliefs. I teach with a communicative approach, for example, because my belief is that students should not use the
Mm-hmm.
first language, should just prioritize meaning over form, etc. But do you have evidence that it works with these students? So always be critical and think
Yeah,
also of your
I
specific group
understand.
of
I
learners.
understand.
Did I finish
I think
the
you have.
answer?
Yeah, wonderful one. Like we answer, you
Thank
answer.
goodness.
Yeah, who and what and where and why and how.
Oh my
You
dear.
have done it.
That's a
Wonderful.
lot
And
of that's a lot of
there's a
questions.
nice comment over there. I stick it in the screen. Can you see it? How come you have a great answer for all questions?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah, the wonderful. So
You're
we
so
have a
good.
wonderful feedback
Wow,
about
what
it.
an
Thank you.
audience. Thank you. Thank you.
All right then. So what? Oh, probably you have some. You have read a lot, I think, in ELT world. So can you suggest some books us to read, or maybe articles to follow, or maybe blogs? The
I
TFL zone.
learned
You
by
should.
reading. Yeah, I learned by yeah, of course I will mention my blog. I have a list. I don't want to forget anyone or
Ah,
anything.
wonderful.
So we can start with blogs, and
Sure.
because they are free, they are, everywhere, they're educational. So we can find materials, for example,
Uh-huh.
lesson plans. On the same page, ELT, Miguel has amazing materials there, unique. You will not find them in any other blog. Artistic, songs, poetry, fantastic blog. Silvina Mashiri's EFL creative ideas, or incredibly creative, I would add.
Wow.
Incredible sequences, interesting topics. She always keeps it interesting. ELT planning as well for lesson ideas, activities, and tips for materials writers. Free, the teachers community with where if you don't have a blog, you can just create a post and share lesson plans there.
Mm-hmm.
Christina Cabal's Teams Free English lesson plans. Fluency First ELT, where task-based meets Jamboard. It's a
Uh-huh.
fantastic blog. Neil McCutcheon
Wow.
and Neil Anderson, who have also
Yeah,
written this book
that's one.
for
Yeah,
task-based.
wonderful.
I love
Exactly.
it. I've used it so much. Thank you.
Neil. Hi to Neil. I had a session with
Yeah,
him too.
wonderful. Please say hi for
Yeah.
me.
All right.
Stephanie Valerio's blog about phrasal verbs. I don't know if there's any other blog on phrasal verbs. She draws fantastic images that, immediately
Wonderful.
convey the meaning. And she uses, I don't know, she writes the meaning, she adds YouTube links. Where can you see
Uh-huh.
can
Mm-hmm.
you encounter the phrasal verb, for example, in what songs? Beautiful work.
Excellent.
Jim Fuller, Jim,
Yeah, of
Spawn
course.
GLT, about
Yeah.
training, book reviews,
Great.
materials, reflective posts on teaching and training. Sandy Millins, my inspiration for starting a blog. Wednesday seminars for teaching, and Monica Rudy Peach's website also with a lot of materials for training sessions. Thank you, Monica. I've stolen some on error correction. And if they're looking for, if teachers are looking for books on pronunciation, anything written by Mark Hancock is wonderful. Really practical activities that you can use, take away and
Uh-huh.
use in your classroom. There's also Caldwell syllabus for listening, which helps you understand how to combine phonology and listening, really helpful. And I'm also reading The Owl Factor now by Andrea Headland, which is a combination of philosophy, teaching, and training. And I love all
Mm-hmm.
these things separately. So I'm really loving the book that combines all these elements.
Wonderful.
And one more. I'm not going to say any more titles, just this one.
No
It's a
problem.
book on counseling. No problem.
I see.
I know it sounds weird. It's called Helping the Client, and it's by John Heron. But I found it's really relevant, and really a lot of things
Uh-huh.
apply to teaching and training as well. He writes how to use different interventions. For example, there is a practitioner and the client. The practitioner can be the counselor, but also the teacher or the trainer in our context, right?
I
And the
see. Yeah.
client is the student or the teacher in when we're talking about teacher training. It's really
Mm-hmm.
lovely and helpful if you're thinking about feedback sessions as well, and how to
I
use
see.
your trainer talk in a non-threatening way.
I
Helping the
see.
client, really lovely book. Okay, I'm done.
Really?
I can breathe.
Perfect. And by the way, don't worry. I will get the list from Rachel after the session. I will share it with you. Don't worry about because there are some comments about it. Can you please share the list of Rachel's? Something like it. I have written. I have read.
Oh, hi,
So
Harry. Yeah,
don't
Harry
worry.
says Mark Hancock is
Harry is also
a
here.
frog
Yeah.
god.
Mark Hancock is a prawn god. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Nothing to
Totally
say.
agree.
All right. Thank you very much for excellent and marvelous list of the websites and the blogs. Perfect. Really, really.
Thank you, Olga. I'm glad you
Wonderful. Thank
liked
you
it.
very much, Rachel. Okay, just two questions left, by the way, because time flies.
Okay.
All right. let's do this question. Okay, suppose that or think that we finish the interview and you step outside your house and find a lottery ticket, end up with a winning $10 million. What would you do?
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can do so many things. You can help lots of people. I would definitely help family and friends in Greece. I would definitely donate, scholarships, IATEFL, help as much as I can through my blog, maybe. And the money that would be left, how would I use it? I would buy maybe 3 houses, maybe
Wow.
one in Greece, probably Santorini, my favorite Greek island.
Yeah.
I could work there online, I don't care. I would
It's a
stay there
wonderful
and work
place.
online. I would buy one in Spain because it's my second home and I love this country. Probably Tarragona or maybe
Uh-huh.
Mallorca, Menorca, I don't know. And one in Italy because my husband's Italian. We have family and friends in Italy. We have
I
a home in
see.
the south, so probably somewhere in the north, like Liguria, Rio Maggiore, Portofino, somewhere over there. Because, yeah, we travel a lot, so it's nice to have a home here and there. If I have 10 million, why
Exactly.
not?
Rachel, don't forget Harry. He said something. She would invest in
Absolutely.
renewable English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Deal.
Deal. Yeah. Okay, Harry, you got some of the dollars. Don't worry about it. Rachel, invest some for you. Okay. Great, great. Thank you very much. Would you like to add anything else about
No,
this
I think I'd
question?
be broke after that. So
Okay then. No, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Here is the last question of Teacher Talks, neither one. All right. Are you ready for it?
I am. Shoot.
Okay. What is your motto?
I have no motto.
Okay, that's excellent. That what I
No,
was
wait,
expecting.
wait,
No,
wait.
bro.
I have no motto, but I've stolen a couple from other people. Is that okay? Is that
Sure, of
acceptable?
course. No, yeah, of
Okay.
course. Go for it.
Okay. So I really like one that I saw on Twitter. I think it was Leo Gomez or Leo. I'm not sure how he pronounces his name. Apologies. And it's your ego is not your amigo. I think it's
Yeah,
self-explanatory, right? I think it's really
yeah, nice
great.
one.
Yeah, when you're thinking about life, teaching, training, everything. And a similar one from the book that I mentioned by John Heron, Be Here Now. So when John Heron says that, it's about the counselor and the client, like give them your full attention, follow them, in their territory, unbiased, no judgment. And I think this is really something nice to also practice in life and in teaching. In teaching,
Hmm.
be present, in the moment. Listen to your students, really listen to what they're saying to you, to what interests them, and use that. Care for them. Be there in that
Yes.
moment and in life as well, because, we've seen how difficult life can get. There's no guarantees. Cherish the moments, whatever it is you're doing, just be present. Just really pay attention to the people in the room and
Nice one.
just be there now. That's it. Be
Uh-huh.
present. Very
I
important.
understand. Definitely. I totally agree with you,
I
Rachel.
try to
Thank you
be
very much.
here now. I don't know if I
Yeah, you
managed.
are here totally. Don't worry. You are here. Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. Okay,
Thank you,
so that's
welcome.
all of my questions. So, would you like to add anything else before ending our live section, Rachel?
No, just to thank you because as I told you, I was really stressed. I'm always stressed with those lives, Instagram or Facebook, and you made me feel really comfortable and I really enjoyed it. So thank you, Volkan.
Yeah, you are welcome. But you were not in a stress. That was excellent and a fruitful section we had. Thanks to you, Rachel. Really.
Thank you, and thank you
Okay.
everyone for coming and watching.
Okay then. So I would like to say one more thank you one more time to be with us and spend your time and especially sharing your ideas and suggestions. And we had a fruitful session with you, Rachel. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much. And I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that not only me or our listeners also had a great time with you. Thank you very much and that you were here. Rachel Tsateri was with us tonight and with the teacher talk session. Then we had a really excellent moments with her. And I want to say thank you one more time to her. And we are going to be here next week on the same day at the same time. As you know, that's the teacher talks day and time as you know it. So until next time, wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And take care of yourselves until the next time, and peace, everybody. And bye bye, Rachel. And thank you very
Bye,
much, Rachel
everybody,
Atteri.
Volkan.
Bye bye. See
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.